very basic stuff, because if it comes up later on in the conversation, you should know what I'm talking about. So let's inspect the club. I know it's basic. You don't have to write this stuff down. This is a club head. This is a driver club head. This is the face of the driver. This is the toe part, what is called the toe of the driver. Toe of any club. This is the heel. The driver has what is called bulge and blow. What does that mean? That produces a gear effect. If you hit the ball off the toe, it will have a tendency to go right to left and bring it back into play. If you hit the ball off the heel, it'll have a tendency to go in the opposite direction to bring the ball into play. If it's exaggerated, you will not be in play. You understand that? Okay.
That's my problem, Peggy.
The grip. The grip has to fit you.
Don't look at his grip.
Don't look at my
because it's a split grip, which has nothing to do with your hands.
This is what is called a dummy grip. Not because I swing it, but because before I put a new grip on it, I'm back weighting the club. I'm doing a lot of fancy things. Why waste $7 on a grip when I can play with this? This is the shaft. A shaft comes in various flexes. You have to find the right flex for your swing speed or you're done. Okay? That's tricky stuff. A shaft can be purchased for $10, $15, $20, $400.
He
Okay?
told you, didn't he?
You will not get this. You will not get a club head like this. If you're a professional, you will not get what they have. Let's put it that way. You will never get what they have. They're always going to be a step ahead of the game. That's why when they take this little swing and the ball flies wherever, they've got the best equipment you can possibly get. All right, the grip has to fit your hands, okay? How does a grip fit your hands, and what kind of a grip should you take? Okay, that's going to depend a lot on the swing, which I'll get into later, because there are various ways to move the club head through the ball. You've all probably heard this, that the forefinger and the thumb form a V. You can see the V right here. And that V for a neutral grip would be pointing to the chin. The right hand goes over the left, and that V formed by the forefinger and the thumb. This ring will point generally between the chin and the right shoulder. Whenever you move that grip to the right, where the V's now are pointing more to the right, it's said to be a strong grip. It has nothing to do with hanging on tighter. That's just a phrase that they use, a terminology that they use. Whenever you move the hands to the left, and of course it'd be the opposite for you, you understand. To the left is called a weak grip. Again, it doesn't have anything to do with how hard you're holding on to the grip. The pressure points of the grip are important. The last three fingers of the left hand are a key pressure point in the golf swing. The index finger of the right hand, which is at the back of the club, the first knuckle, right there, is another key pressure point. When you swing a golf club, the most important thing is to maintain that grip pressure. If it's too tight here, it'll loosen up here. You'll wind up catching the club. If it's too loose here, you'll grab it at the top, and you'll screw up a swing in some other way. So that's basically, this is the butt end of the grip. It's what's called the butt end of the grip. We covered the shaft. It comes in various flexes. We're going to usually use an L shaft, what's called an L shaft. It's just a little whippy, a little flexor, because their swing speed is such that it doesn't move the club head faster. Regular shafts would be for most men who swing, I don't know, swing speed somewhere between 80 and 90 miles an hour. But here's the thing, just because you see a shaft that says R on it, which stands for regular, if you put that on a frequency machine, where it's going to measure cycles per minute, they put this in one end and they jiggle the club head up and down over here, it has so many cycles per minute. Every manufacturer's regular is different, there's no consistency. So just because it says R on it doesn't mean it's the right shaft for you. S, of course, is for bigger swingers. X shafts are for very strong, fast swingers. You'll find a lot of pros, most of the tour professionals are going to use some kind of X shaft. The long drivers use X shafts. Ridiculous. That's like a tree. You swing that and it flexes. Figure that out, how strong that you have to be for that. All right, I can't think of anything else.
10-finger grip.
Well, yeah, you can have, there's various ways to hold the club. Most pros have what is called the Varden grip, where the little finger will overlap the forefinger over here. If you have weak hands, I will use a baseball grip, which is fine, a 10-finger grip. If you have short, stubby fingers, you might want to use a interlocking grip. An interlocking grip, which technically use that, but most players use an overlapping. But if you feel uncomfortable with that, grab it. Like she used to have a Varden grip, and I got her to go there. You got to hold it, and that's the thing. Golfers will give lessons and they'll say, well, you should have a nice, light grip. Sam Snead used to say, hold it like a bird. That bird better be an eagle. You got to hold it. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being hardly, you know, if Billy pulled on it, it would come right out of my hands, to 10, where we had a tug of war with it. Somewhere in there, you've got to find a pressure of 4, 5. The club doesn't know who's holding it. Right? So, yeah.
Nothing overlapping. All fingers are on there and don't change.
All fingers on the grip. Make sure your V's are still in the same place, depending on the swing, which we'll discuss later.
Makes such a difference for you. I used to do interlocking.
Okay?
Maybe that's my problem.
So find the pressure that's right for you. Find the pressure that's right for you. This is a 1/8 inch oversized grip. There is no taper on this grip. Most standard grips will come with a taper. Most men's grips, I don't know how most men fit into that grip because everybody's hand is a different size. If I have a guy who I put on ladies' grips. He's a big, stocky guy. I have a hollow in my hand. I need a thicker grip. He needed a ladies' grip because he had a big, puffy palm. You follow what I'm saying? So for him to really get it on there and feel the pressure points of those last 3 fingers, it had to be on there. Those last 3 fingers, if the tips of these fingers, when you close the palm over the fingers, goes way under there like that, the grip is too thick. If it doesn't meet, the grip is too thick. You want those fingers to just barely touch the palm so that you've got a good grip. Right, that covers it. Now, this is what I want you to write down. This is key. There's 3 zones, let's call them, to the golf swing that are imperative. These are not optional. These are imperative. Where is the face of the club at impact? The position of the face at impact is crucial. Okay? Another zone would be the shaft plane. As you know, the golf swing takes place on an arc, on a plane. A baseball swing is like this, okay? No one can, you can't obviously swing like that. This is a side-on game, so it's more going to be like a baseball swing. You're going to take a baseball swing, you're going to bring it down here, you bring it down here, bring it down here. Now I've created a plane, an angle. That is important. The shaft plane throughout the swing is very important. The other zone, zone 3, is the pivot. You've all heard of a weight shift. This is a weight shift, but it's all wrong. Scratch weight shift, it's a misnomer. Pivot, especially for those guys who play ball, is a much different situation. What you need to do, it will shift your weight to the inside of your right thigh. That's a pivot. The pivot is nothing more. You want to practice with it. The pivot is nothing more. The best way to practice with pivot is to take. It's nothing more than a 2 or 3 inch shoulder glide where the right shoulder goes back to meet the spine. That's it. That's all the pivot is. It's not this. There's no swaying involved. That's all it is that. Now we're going to get in the right posture, of course, to create that. So now, Those zones are important. Pivot, posture, shaft plane, not posture, pivot, shaft plane, and where's the club face looking at impact. Those are the three zones. If you've got a bad pivot, what is commonly called a reverse weight shift zone, the other two zones, you can throw them out. Because that pivot, if it's wrong, you will never accomplish anything with the other two zones. As bad as that is, if you've got a zone 3 aberration, which is the pivot, you can forget the other two altogether. Okay? Yeah, you can go around, you know, and do this stuff. You know what the results are, because a lot of people have to do it. All right. How do we get into proper posture? To protect your back, you want to get into neutral joint alignment. You want the ankles right under your hip joints. You can go a little wider. You can go a little narrower. Okay, you got to be, but you got to have balance either way. I'm long-legged, so I go a little bit outside of neutral joint alignment in terms of your stance width. We're talking stance width. I go a little bit further. All right, now I'm set. That's all you have to do is bend forward, so your hands hang forward. Bend your knees, stick your butt out a little bit. Feel the weight towards your toes, feel the weight towards your heels, and center that weight, 50 here, and center the weight over your ankles. Over your ankles, drop your hands into this position right here, and you've got straight back. You don't want to be hunched over like this. You've got to have it straight back. So don't be afraid, otherwise you get over your back doesn't get that straight. So if you're looking at it from the side on, it's going to look something like that. Okay? This is key. Let's get into the back. How do you take the club back? The club. The club. How do you move the club? Here's my posture. Here's my set. This is an iron, by the way. When you align your iron behind the ball, it's the leading edge, that first groove that you want. You don't line it up with the top, as you would a wood. When you line up a wood, you line up the top part of the wood. But for an iron, you want that leading groove right there. We're talking about basic shots now. We're not talking curving the ball necessarily. How do you take it? How do you take it back? Wrong. Wrong. That's all you have to do is initiate the pivot. Remember I said turn the right shoulder back? Watch what happens when I do that. That's all I'm going to do is this. I'm going to hold on to the club. That's it. When it gets halfway back, when the shaft is parallel to the ground, the toe will be in an up position. No, in an up position. Right there. Okay? That's the maximum. That's all there is to it. As that happens, I can feel the tension here. As I turn this shoulder, I can feel the tension here. That knee is never going to get outside, right outside that ankle. It's never going to look like that. And it's not going to look like that on the through swing. You're going to stay in your posture. You're going to stay centered over the ball. Why do you hit skinny shots? Why do you hit the ball in the belly? Why do you hit the ball back? Which means you're digging in the turf before the club head ever does. The biggest reason you do that is because you lose the angle, either during the transition, which is from backswing to